Are they finally listening? Now, the background NPC, she's a relatively new YouTuber. She blew up because Asmongold found her video at like 300 subs. She grew immensely, but she's been putting out banger content. It wasn't just a case of someone getting lucky. She puts out some banger content. I've never reacted to one of her videos before. This one popped up on my timeline. I actually sent it to Cindy for her to do a reaction to it. Don't know if she did or not. But now it's my turn.
So Nintendo's getting investigated. Ubisoft came out and said, yeah, our last Assassin's Creed game may have flopped, but also, we totally won. And Square Enix is laying off hundreds of people in the West, all within the last 2 weeks, and...
Good. This is all good news. Let it all burn down. Am I a Nintendo fanboy? Yes, I am. Fuck them for their anti-consumer practices and the Power World stuff. So yeah, let them burn. Ubisoft, go, please. Square Enix, get the fuck out the West. You don't belong here. And I mean this because I care and because I love you. Get back to Japan and do what you're supposed to do, which is make Japanese-ass games for us white boy weebs that like playing Japanese-ass games.
I am sitting here thinking, okay, what timeline is this? Because for years, these massive companies have felt completely untouchable. They would make whatever decisions they wanted, we would complain, give feedback, vote with our wallets, and it just didn't really matter. We would point out problems and get told that we were the problem. Gaming journalists would write these long articles explaining why actually we were.
I wonder how many DMs this chick gets being called a pick-me. I've never really thought about it because she's so nice and so subdued and so demure and whatnot. I bet other broads on X are fucking vile to her.
In the wrong and didn't understand game development. Studios would then double down on the exact things we hated. But something is different now, and we have been watching this shift happen over the last year or two, but the past 2 weeks, big things are happening, so let's get into it. Well, it's been 2 months since my last Nintendo check-in, and even though it has been a rocky relationship for me, like the crazy ex-girlfriend I am, I have been keeping up with Nintendo on all of the latest regarding their patent wars. Like I said in previous videos, I kept thinking, there is no way that this can continue to get worse, but then I watched Nintendo get more bullish with their lawsuit and sue over very basic mechanics like throwing and capturing characters, summoning characters.
Miss Molly asks why would women call her a pick-me. Oh, you poor sweet summer child.
And mounting creatures, but truly, it gets darkest before the dawn, because just recently we learned that the US Patent Office announced that they are investigating some of Nintendo's patents. That is right. Power World now has the full power of America on its side. In the old days, Nintendo flexes their legal team, their opponent can't afford the fight, and it's game over. The big company wins. Except that is not what happened here. Players have been incredibly vocal. Players bought the competition and loved it. Power World sold over 25 million copies, and voices on the internet like Legal Mindset have been reporting and calling it.
She one of us, boys. She watches Legal Mindset. And I don't even watch Legal Mindset, and this chick watches Legal Mindset? God damn.
Out how messed up this whole situation is. Some gaming journalists have been wringing their hands about it though. One IP attorney actually said that it is debatable whether giving power to people on the internet who scream loudly is a good thing for the industry. When it comes...
Yes! One IP lawyer, by the way, if she's talking about the IP lawyer I think she's referring to, he is an ex-IP lawyer for Nintendo. Yeah, Nintendo of America, at least that is. Yeah, says that, I wonder if giving the paying customer the power is the right idea. Gee, only an ex-IP lawyer for Nintendo would have that mentality.
When he tries to patent basic mechanics that have existed for decades, that is something that people should be loud about. That is legitimate criticism of patent abuse and what should happen when companies try to weaponize a system to eliminate competition. Players noticed, legal experts noticed, the patent office noticed, and now Nintendo has to actually defend why they should own basic game mechanics. Hint, they shouldn't. It didn't stop there. Pocket Pair has doubled down and announced their what? Their version of Animal Crossing with Pal Farm. Hoyoverse has announced Petit Planet, and I am still mad that I can't seem to get into the coziness beta. Hello? And you guys already know how I feel about Animo, and I'm sure there are dozens of other indie devs who have been sitting on creature sims, creature collector ideas, just waiting to see what happens with this law.
Now, here's Delio. All these other creators, all these other sort of indie devs and whatnot, they can release their own, creature collecting games. They'll be fine, because they won't be as successful as Power World or Pokemon. And that's not a dig, it's just true. Pokemon been top of the game for 30 years now. There's a reason that Digimon got to exist, and Monster Tamer got to exist, and Monster Rancher got to exist, and I can list a bunch of other creature catching games that got to exist. Why did Nintendo go to Power World? Because Power World fucking terrified them.
Lawsuit, now they're actually going to be able to make their games, because if Nintendo's patents collapse, innovation gets completely unchained, and this becomes a huge win for the rest of the industry. But don't worry, Nintendo is still getting their lawsuit fixed. They recently won a case against a pirate live streamer who had been rage baiting them for years. And when he was ordered to pay Nintendo over 17 grand, his response was, "You might run a corporation, but I run the streets." Even just on the game.
That's such a Nintendo gamer response. Like a Nintendo bro in his late 20s to early 40s. That's such a Nintendo gamer response. I can't even be mad.
Development side of things, I saw so many fans express massive disappointment in Pokemon Legends EA. I saw players calling it out for feeling really cheap despite the $70 price tag. With flat graphics, no voice acting, a map so small you can technically sprint around it in under 7 minutes. The whole game takes place in one city with some copy-pasted buildings everywhere. Fans who loved Arceus for its sense of exploration and variety were now getting endless tutorials and a repetitive urban setting instead, and somehow a game that brought back Mega Evolution didn't include legendaries that actually have Mega Evolutions.
Apparently they're adding them back in a $30 DLC. Look at that annotation there. Bro, Nintendo, get your shit together. Fucking hell, dude. Do you know what it's like being a Nintendo fanboy in 2025? I feel just as dirty and grimy as that feminist that we just reacted to in the last video that couldn't actually publish her own paper.
And I won't lie to you, even now, after everything that has happened, it still feels wrong to root against the company that I grew up on, fell in love with, and is what got me into gaming in the first place. But they figured out weaponized nostalgia and just ran with it, forcing us to use their online services in order to access old titles, paying $60 for Skyward Sword HD, when it was literally the same game from 2011, not being able to access any.
To be fair, it's not the same game from 2011. It's like 5% better because the controls were improved. Beyond that, she is correct.
Of their music legally on any platform except their own, which I think they just launched like last year. For a long time, I got used to all that control, and that was that. Then Power World showed up and did something familiar, but pushed it somewhere new, and we loved it. It's not to spite Nintendo, it was just a lot of fun. It tried something different. We noticed that other companies were actually innovating, trying new things, improving, and I think that's when Nintendo panicked. They thought nostalgia alone would just keep us loyal forever, but we started choosing innovation over nostalgia, and that terrified them. Now, if you think Nintendo's situation.
Now, in effort to be fair here, and this got nothing to do with being a Nintendo fanboy, because I'm gonna be real, like fuck Nintendo. I said at the beginning of this video, and I'll say it again, fuck Nintendo. But as far as the nostalgia and like, to keep people complacent and stuff goes, that is not really a Nintendo problem. That's specifically a Pokemon Company / Creatures Inc. problem. And the reason we can safely say this is because look at Nintendo's other games that have come out within the last decade or so. Mario Odyssey is new and fresh, and it's like, yeah, it's nostalgic because it's Mario, but it does its own thing. Breath of the Wild does its own thing. Smash Ultimate is the ultimate Smash experience. The new Donkey Kong game, radically different than other Donkey Kong games. Like, the only franchise they have that's been unwilling to evolve is Pokemon, and Nintendo is only a 1/3 owner of Pokemon. So, like, if we're being intellectually honest, because, like, it's gonna sound like dick riding and dicking Nintendo, But it's not. Like, if you're going to criticize the company, which I think is totally fair to do, you need to at least have your information correct. And the laziness and the nostalgia baiting and things like that, that's a Pokemon Company/Creatures Inc. problem.
Is wild. Just wait until you hear about what's been going on with Ubisoft. But before we get to that, I wanted to show you guys my brand new PC, and I thought that I would get a little help from another NPC to show it off.
All right. You guys know the deal? We watch the sponsorship ads since we're stealing their content.
This is the Voyager 3 Elite from Starforge Systems, and I am incredibly
The case I bought's a Starforge case. Let's go!
attached to it already. As you have probably already guessed, I love purple, and this case definitely delivers. Lavender glow, plum.
I almost bought this exact case. I ended up going with the Freerin case, but I almost got this case.
Shadows, neon accents, cute little jellyfish and city signs, the whole cyberpunk aesthetic. I also now have a whole waifu inside my computer, and she is lovely. I mean, just look at her. Those big eyes, that pastel hair, the neon accents that match the purple glow so perfectly. It is peak cozy cyberpunk. Plus, my setup has never been this nice, and I just keep finding myself zoning out, staring at it like it is the final episode of my comfort anime. But beyond looking like a beautiful lo-fi neon dream, this thing is also super powerful. I'll be honest, you guys know I am not a tech person, but I am so excited to say that this PC has an Intel i9 and an RTX 5090, which means I can finally play and edit on the same machine without it sounding like it is about to launch into orbit. And who knows?
I know the struggle, girlie. I know the struggle.
A sneaky stream or two in the near future. Now, does a pretty PC make me better at games? Unfortunately not, but it does make losing way more aesthetically pleasing. She is so beautiful. I think I'm gonna have to name her. So drop your ideas in the comments, and thank you so much to Starforge for this gorgeous computer, and thank you so much to all of you. None of this would be even possible without all of your love and support, so thank you so much. If you would like to check out their PC options, the link is in the description below. Now, to get us back on track, this past week, the Ubisoft CEO came out and said they won the battle against the backlash of Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Oh, really? If you won the battle, then explain to me why on your most recent earnings report you acknowledged that it didn't meet your financial expectations. I'm sure that, you know, the background NPC here is going to explain it in a way that you didn't, you know, by telling the truth. But sure, go ahead. Have your little narrative, Ubisoft. You're still getting bought out by Tencent.
Let me say that again. Their stock has now dropped over 90% over the last few years. The game undersold, and their response is, we won. I am sorry, what? This whole situation is still so mind-boggling to me because fans had been begging for a Japanese Assassin's Creed for years. Like, this was the most requested setting in the entire franchise. This game should have been a slam dunk and is something that they actively had to work to mess it up. Between the execution issues and the self-inflicted historical accuracy controversies, they somehow turned their most requested setting into their biggest fumble. Do you remember when—
Notice how the cute white girl ain't playing the BBC character? That's pretty narrative destroying, just saying.
Ubisoft was the studio? Splinter Cell, early Assassin's Creed, Far Cry 3, Rayman. When did
How you gonna not list Just Dance?
Ubisoft game become a warning to players instead of a promise? After gaslighting us this past year with the X amount of players, strong pre-orders, etc., we have come to find out that this game has sold worse than their last 5 AC games, including Mirage, which, I don't know, I actually thought that one was okay. But what did the CEO say? He said, we had to stop focusing on those who hated us. Sir, the haters were just your customers and people who just wanted the game to be
former customers.
Good. They had been requesting this setting for years. They wanted it to succeed. You made choices that prioritized messaging over actual game, and when people called it out, you blamed them for noticing. That is not haters. That's just consequences. And after years of $60 to $70 games launching broken with promises to patch it later, after the same tired open world checklist formula since 2012, after games as a service that nobody wanted, the NFT disaster that everyone forgot, Skull and Bones, after being told to get comfortable not owning our games, after being called toxic when we asked for better, When Shadows launched, looking like more of the same, just wrapped in self-inflicted controversy, we just played something else, and the CEO calls this winning. Here is where it gets even worse.
She's right. She's right, though. We did play other shit. Man, dude, my Steam library this year is filled with, alright, just off the top of my dome, let me think here. Gory Cuddly Carnage, Goat Simulator 3, Schedule 1, Repo. I've obviously gone back and played several of the Resident Evil games, Flesh Made Fear, Tormented Souls, Sonic Cross Worlds, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. What am I missing? Mullet Mad Jack. I mean, I can go on and on. It's not like there's been a shortage of great shit to play. Just ain't nobody choosing goddamn Assassin's Creed.
Wilder, Tencent, yeah, that Tencent, just put over $1 billion into Ubisoft to fund the subsidiary that houses Assassin's Creed and a lot of their big franchises, but at the same time, they are cutting Western studios loose left and right, laying off people at Shark Mob completely, shutting down The Outsiders. One of their VPs literally said there might be less investment in some areas in the West, which is just corporate speak for, yeah, we're backing away. So Ubisoft is getting money from a company that is actively giving up on Western studios. Make it make sense. And just days after their CEO claimed they won.
Yes, Butterframe and Gold also should be the Blood Rain games. Can't wait till I get into those as well. Shout out again. Thank you very much for the gifts, dude. Truly appreciated.
Ubisoft delayed their earnings report and halted share trading because nothing says victory quite like that. But if you do think that their collapse is dramatic, Square Enix's actions this week show exactly what happens when publishers finally start doing the math. This week, Square Enix announced massive layoffs across their...
Good. Fuck you people in the UK that work for Square. Fuck you California Square employees. Good. Not only am I glad you're getting replaced, I hope you're getting replaced with AI. Oh, but Leon, people lost their jobs. Don't give a fuck. Oh no, a bunch of HR Karens and fucking middle management lost their jobs. Truly do not give a fuck.
Western studios and staff members. And when you look at what they have been doing the last 2 years, the pattern is pretty obvious. They sold Crystal Dynamics, which is actually going through more layoffs right now, and Eidos Montreal, the studios that made Tomb Raider and Deus Ex, for just $300 million. They shut down Luminous Productions, and now hundreds more layoffs. Meanwhile, their Japanese studios are a bit more mixed. Final Fantasy XVI did pretty well, and I know people either loved or hated this one. I actually really loved it. I think the depth of the lore in the story and the voice acting was extremely well done, but we have definitely seen some mixed feedback on the Final Fantasy VII Remake and Stranger of Paradise. So what is going on? I think that Square Enix looked at their numbers and realized that their Western teams were failing on basically every level. First, the creative stuff. Localization teams were, let's just say, sometimes taking liberties, changing dialogue, altering...
She's so nice. She's so nice. The localization teams were, let's just say, taking liberties. No, the localization teams were butt fucking with sandpaper, the intent of the original artists to bow and kowtow to a modern audience that does not exist, standing on the shoulders of giants and altering the worlds and lore that these grand masters created, all for them sweet, sweet Western dollars. They're worth less and less by the day because the Federal Reserve prints money like it's going out of style. Fuck you. Also, shout out to Golden Apples for the 5-banger. Ubisoft fell so far down the gopher hole, their brain turned to mush. Dude, that is pretending Ubisoft had a brain. Let's be real for a moment. Outside of a few bangers, Ubisoft always been a mid company anyway, and they got gassed the fuck up by normies.
Character personalities and inserting things that weren't in the original Japanese versions. Japanese developers would make a game, it would go through Western localization, and some things that came out on the other end were different.
Also, she's a bit wrong there. She's not wrong entirely, but what a lot of people don't realize about Square Enix, and Capcom does this as well, I think Koei Tecmo might do this, but I could be wrong, Konami might do this, don't quote me, but I know Square Enix and Capcom do it. They have hired Westerners, brought them over to Japan to be their in-house Western localizers. So it's not even like this shit is happening when it gets to America. They've got these dumb, white, feminist fucking California broads living in Japan doing the Western localization in Japan. So them firing all these California dumbasses honestly might not even fix the issue, because these dumb broads are living in Japan doing in-house localization there. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it is true.
Sometimes really different, and players would complain about weird dialogue or characters acting strange, and the original developers would be like, well, wait, we didn't write that. Then there's the money. Western AAA teams got absurdly bloated, talking hundreds of people, projects taking 5 to 7 years, burning budgets that could fund entire countries. Do you remember Forspoken? That cost $150 million and sold maybe 3 million copies, and then the studio was disbanded. Or what about Marvel's Avengers? It's a $170 million budget and was shut down after 2 years. Compare that to something like Elden Ring, which had 200 people, 4 years, still a huge budget, maybe 150 to 200 million, but it sold 25 million copies.
War Wizard 199, Beardo is fat, says, and I quote him, Final Fantasy 16 was so good that Clive was able to kill Dante. Addendum.
Shut up, bitch!
And
thanks for the
Square Enix noticed that. They also noticed that they started to lose a lot of money when it came to their Western projects. They noticed that games like Clear Obscure captured hearts and wallets in the West, while citing that they took heavy inspiration from old Final Fantasy games. They literally met with the developers after seeing how crazy successful that game was. And behavior is a language, and they seem to be changing their tune. They are out here studying player feedback.
Now, to be fair, I would like to see Square Enix change their tune. I'm not one of those haters like, fuck Square Enix, they're dead to me. No. Put out more shit like Octopath Traveler. Hey, I'm glad you gave us Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered with an actual proper localization. Final Fantasy Tactics is actually my favorite Final Fantasy game. By all means, I actively root for these companies to try and reclaim their former glory. Now, to be fair, Squaresoft was king. The downfall was when they became Square Enix. I see some of you guys in chat saying that, and I wholeheartedly agree. But would I like to see Square Enix come out the other side victorious after a dark era? Absolutely. We saw that with Sega and Sonic the Hedgehog after a solid 10 years of mostly sludge. Hey, Frontiers, Crossworlds Racing, some of the mobile games like Sonic Rumble and stuff. Like, we're getting good stuff out of Sonic. All right? I want to see Square Enix rise from the ashes like a phoenix, or should I say a phoenix down. But we gotta see some motherfucking changes before I get all amped and excited.
What is working, why players are showing up for things, and their response has been to bring everything back to Japan, have full creative control with smaller, focused teams, no more localization surprises, no more 7-year development cycles for games that nobody wanted, just to make good games and actually listen to what players are responding to. And honestly, I do think that this could be a big turning point for Square Enix. It'll be very interesting to see where Final Fantasy goes from here, and the projects that they do decide to invest time and money on, I hope that it will be games that respect our time instead of trying to appeal to the modern audience and be everything to everyone. I have talked before about my love for Eastern developers, and like I said, Eastern devs will continue to swoop in and outperform Western AAA because it is really about who is respecting and building for players. Of course, they also want to make a profit, but
I cannot name a single, and I mean a single, Western AAA studio that is worth our time or money right now. Frankly, a lot of Japanese ones aren't until they clean up their act. But I used to be a huge Bethesda fan. Dude, I would eat any and all Bethesda slop, and I would do it like a good little piggy. Not anymore, son. Not any fucking more. I wouldn't say all Bethesda slop. I've never played the Elder Scrolls games. But besides that, you know, whether they published it or designed, whether it be Fallout, which they make, whether it be Doom, which they publish, like, not anymore. I don't give a fuck, son. I'm struggling to even name other Western developers. Like, Ubisoft? Fuck Ubisoft. Activision Blizzard? Dude, I quit playing WoW like 2 years ago. Insomniac? Who the fuck you trying to fool? Like, nah, bro. It's done. It's done. Zalozy Fred Tinbanger says, a woman named Kate took over as head localizer in Japan for 16. Her writing adjustments to the story produced the worst expansion ever. Thankfully, she's fired now. I know who you're talking about. I was not aware she was fired. So that is awesome.
Holy shit, I'm gonna come.
Shout out Zalozy. Thank you for the 10 banger, bro.
They are paying attention to what is working and are asking the question, what do players want? Time and time again, we see Western AAA assume it knows better and then add a bunch of stuff that nobody asked for while building for an audience that's by and large not showing up. One approach works, the other gets you massive layoffs. And listen, I do feel bad for the hundreds of people who are losing their jobs.
I don't. Fuck them. Fries in the bag. I don't feel bad at all. Like, why should I feel bad that your incompetence, your inability to do your job, nay, not inability, your flat-out refusal to do your job to the way that meets customer satisfaction, why should I feel bad that you lost your job? I get it. Background NPC, a much nicer, more empathetic person than your boy here, but I don't give a fuck. You had one job, which is do your job properly. Not only were you incapable of it, because I don't believe that you were incapable, I believe it was malicious. I believe you actively refused. So no, I don't feel bad. I'm actively cheering that you lost your job. I hope more people lose their jobs.
I'm sure that there are definitely some hardworking and extremely passionate devs out there who unfortunately do get swept up in this. But from a player perspective, companies are finally responding to what we have been saying for years. Make games that are actually fun. Stop designing by committee, stop inserting agendas, stop loading everything, just make good games. Larian and Sandfall are Western studios that are crushing it because they understand this. It is not about geography as much as it is a studio's priorities. Square Enix is restructuring.
You know what? Name popped up on screen. Larian. Larian's Western. I'll give them credit. I don't know if you consider, is Larian considered AAA? Is Larian considered a AAA developer? If so, they're cool. I'll give them a pass.
Because players voted with their wallets. We bought the games that worked and we skipped the ones that didn't, and now they are adjusting. And that is how it should work. I don't know how we got into this place where these companies forgot that it is actually players that hold the power here, and companies like Square Enix are finally starting to remember. And it is not just Square Enix that is noticing this pattern. Japan as a whole is drawing a line in the sand with this. Recently,
100 to 200 million for Baldur's Gate 3, so I'd say so. How much money it costs doesn't, to me, is not an indicator of whether something's AAA or not, because I mean, like, you can get, now, is that how much they made or how much it cost? Because how much it cost would indicate they're AAA. I said that wrong. How much they made doesn't indicate whether they're AAA. We consider CD Projekt Red based on Cyberpunk. No, CD Projekt Red's cooked. CD Projekt Red is cooked. They are infested with people that don't give a fuck about you. Now, they might make good games. I ain't one of those people that's a fucking hater on Witcher 4 because Ciri is the main character. No, that was clearly where the series was going, 100%. I'm not going to get upset spaghetti over a story going the way it was very obviously planned to be going. That being said, CD Projekt Red hates us. They hate the straight white gamer chuds, so fuck them.
Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, METI, proposed new policy guidelines, and one principle stood out. No interference in the content of creative works. An entire country's government looked at what has been happening to Japanese games and anime.
God damn it. She's another one that fell for this. Guys, I need to make this abundantly clear. I'm so tired of content creators spreading this message without knowing this. I looked into this. Alright, I looked into this extensively before I did my video on it. A video that I'm pretty sure did relatively well for a channel my size. I don't remember. This is not a like some new piece of legislation. In fact, it's not legislation at all. This isn't getting voted on. It's not a law. It is just a policy guideline update to an existing policy. Okay, there is no indication whatsoever that this no interference in creative works will actually change anything. Now, if I am wrong, I would be very happy to be wrong about this. I would. I want to be wrong about this because that means that shit will get fixed. But every single fucking content creator, Asmongold, Chibi Reviews, and now the background NPC are treating this like it's some new revelation, that some new piece of law that's being enshrined in Japan. No, this is the equivalent of some fucking just some middle management government types getting together saying, let's just rewrite the wording here on this existing policy. Dude, we voted to get rid of daylight savings time. We actually passed legislation to get rid of daylight savings time, and we still rolled the clocks back this year. A fucking policy guideline update that's not an actual piece of legislation, that was not up for vote. Nothing, there is no proof that anything is going to change. Once it does, if it does, I'll say GG, I'll take the L. But the amount of people that did not look into this, they're just running with these headlines and didn't actually look into the process of how Japan, of how this works in their governmental system, drives me fucking crazy.
In the West and said, no more. Between localization teams rewriting their games and Western payment processors pressuring content platforms, Japan has decided they need to protect their creators' freedom of expression. This is bigger than just one publisher that's deciding to restructure.
Tiger King says, did you tell these YouTubers they're wrong? Bro, in big red font on my thumbnail, it said Chibi is wrong. It was a video calling out Chibi Reviews, who I do like. I got no issue with the dude. I like his content quite a bit. But he was so fucking wrong in his reporting on this. It was painful.
This is an entire nation saying our creative vision matters, and we are not letting it get diluted anymore. That's a massive shift in how Japan approaches global expansion, protecting their creative identity while growing overseas. 3 companies, 3 wake-up calls, same week. So why does this feel different? Why does it actually feel like things are changing this time? I think it's because the consequences are finally real. Like, actually real. Ubisoft stock down 90%, Square Enix panic selling studios, Nintendo getting investigated by the US Patent Office. That is not, oh no, our feelings. That is, oh no, our money level.
In a way, she's correct. In a way, she's not. At least by my estimation. So yes, it does feel like there's actual consequences happening, which does make it seem like things are changing. However, this is still a slow process, and I don't think it's enough. If I had to wager a guess, if things keep up at this pace, we still have another solid 3 to 5 years before we start really actively noticing the changes. We've got another 3 to 5 years before games, these Western games, even in some instances Eastern games, start actually showing the effects of these, and that's if these layoffs and firings and course corrections and whatnot all maintain. So, in a way, yeah, it does feel that way. But I don't really care how it feels. I care about the results. And I don't think we've seen results yet, so I'm not jumping to celebrating. I do not want to celebrate early.
Consequences. We have options now. You don't like what Nintendo is doing? You can play Power World. If Ubisoft stuff is feeling stale, there are literally hundreds of other open world games to choose from. Square Enix not doing it for you anymore? Indie JRPGs and Asian studios are putting out
appreciate how the way, Bishop.
bangers. Plus, and this is a big one, gaming media can't just tell us what to think anymore. When Ubisoft says, we won, we can immediately just pull up their stock price and player counts and go, did you though? When Nintendo says their lawsuit makes sense, we can watch actual lawyers break down why it's nonsense. The information is just there for everyone. But here's what actually gets me excited about all of this, even though it is a little bit doom and gloom, because it is not just watching stuff fall apart. We are watching something new get built. We have seen many indie devs now prove that you can make hundreds of millions by just respecting players and making a complete game that people love. Power World.
That look of exhaustion was not directed at background NPC. She's 100% correct. It's more like, yeah. When did companies forget the very obvious thing of, we make good product, you give us money? Because that's kind of how capitalism has always fucking worked. So, yes, I mean, she's correct. But it should be fair. Dude, if I open a fucking sweet tea vendor, and I advertise sweet tea, and I sell you tea without sugar, and then I lose business, and I blame the customers, yeah, I'm the fucking moron. What do you do if you want business selling sweet tea? I don't know. Add some fucking sugar to the sweet tea so that you're actually selling sweet tea. Yes, you can tell I'm a southerner, at least in part. I'm a Midwesterner, but I'm in the southern part of the Midwest by using sweet tea as the analogy. But you get my fucking point.
Sold 25 million copies.
Oh my god!
Something familiar.
Shots fired and Smash JT. I didn't even mean to do it, but you know what? You're fucking right.
Just pushing it somewhere new. Clair Obscura got people hyped by doing what the old Final Fantasy did so well, and Square Enix noticed. They literally met with those devs to figure out why players cared so much. Games that were maybe shelved because companies were too scared to compete with Nintendo, they're gonna be back in development, and players are showing up with their wallets wide open to support them. The fact that all three of these things happened in the same week, I don't think that's a coincidence. The shift is definitely speeding up, and companies can't just hide behind the PR spin anymore because we all just talk to each other directly. Now look, there will definitely be more disasters, more CEOs saying tone-deaf stuff, more companies that just do not get it, but for the first time in forever, there are actual big consequences happening. Billion-dollar losses, studio shutdowns, federal investigations, some of the—
Good. Give me more. I thrive on it. And guess what I'll be doing while this is happening? I'll be playing motherfucking indie games. I got plenty of indie games. I have Mega Bonk in my Steam library. I haven't tried it yet. I have Ball Pit. I haven't tried it yet. I've got Tormented Souls 2. Look, I still got 4 achievements to get on Tormented Souls 1, so I ain't starting Tormented Souls 2 until I get Tormented Souls 1. I haven't beaten Flesh by Fear yet, and guess what? When I do beat it, I'll be playing it again, because there's a second character, and I'll need to beat it as them too, and I'll need to get the plat on that. I could go on and on. So yeah, I'm very content playing my indie games, and Sonic the Hedgehog, while I watch AAA burn to the fucking ground.
these companies are—
By the way, Death Owner Treaky, I drink my green tea straight as well. I don't actually add sugar or honey or anything in my tea. I brew hot green tea, I drink it hot, that's it. It's good enough for me.
panicking because they forgot something really important. They work for us. They exist because we give them money. And if they can't respect that, then we will just continue to give our time and money to someone who will. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for being here. And what are your thoughts on all of this? Have you noticed any other examples of companies finally having to face reality? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.
Ah, what an excellent video. Yeah, oh my god, I'm not subscribed to her on my Words Paris account. I guess it's just on my personal account. Anyway, here's the link. Yeah, I love her channel because the background NPC says all the same things I do, so it's nice to be validated, but she does it in a much nicer way. And, while that's incredibly fucking gay, it's also kind of necessary because you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar. That being said, I like vinegar. Adds a little bit of flavor and great for cleaning. However, there is a method to her madness as well. And at the end of the day, I'm just waiting to see AAA die. Not because I actually want to see gaming die, because, again, I actually do believe that it can reform from the ashes. I do. I believe that. I think that you can bring AAA back from the ashes. Phoenix Rising, I mean, it's not— we saw a video game industry crash in the 80s. I want to see another. I think it would be good. Sometimes you need the bubble to burst. Sometimes you just need to do a fucking hard reset. Like, it's ironic because you can literally compare it to soft locking yourself in a video game. The modern AAA industry, not just the US, but in Japan as well, have more or less soft locked themselves. You're just gonna have to do the reset, son. It is what it is. Now, do I think that indie and AAA can survive together cohesively? Absolutely. If AAA does rise from the ashes and all of a sudden Resident Evil's good again and Final Fantasy's good again and all that, I'm still gonna buy indie games. I will just also by AAA games. You know, there is room for both. So yeah, that's, at the end of the day, that's my thoughts on it. I thought this was an excellent video. So yeah, make sure, like I said, I put the link in the chat. Make sure to show Background NPC some love, and that's gonna be it for me.